Am I in the wrong for telling my mom and dad that they have to get their noses pierced if they want to see my daughter again? My husband and I travel down to Mexico to visit with my family. I'm an American citizen. My mom and dad are not. My mom and dad got my daughter earrings for her birthday. My daughter's ears are not pierced. She's only a 1-year-old. I told them that I would save them for her until she was old enough to get her ears pierced. We left my daughter with my parents while we went to meet up with some friends. When we went to pick up my daughter, my mom showed us that we didn't need to wait because they had taken her to get her ears pierced. I got my daughter and I dragged my husband out of there before he lost his shit. We went back to our hotel. I am furious. My husband said that my parents were not allowed to spend alone time with my daughter ever again. I went farther. I said that I would not be bringing her or any kids that we might have down here to see my parents. We checked out 3 days early and went home. On the way home, my parents were calling me to see when we were coming over. I ignored all the calls and texts until we were back home in Phoenix. We took a couple of days to think things over and cool down. I finally called them. I asked them not to speak until I was done talking. I told them that my husband and I are upset with them for getting our baby's ears pierced without our permission. I told them that we went back home and probably wouldn't be visiting for a while. They said that my sister and I both had our ears pierced when we were babies and that it did not harm us. I said that we were not going to change our minds. They started getting everyone, including my grandmother, to call me and say I was being ridiculous. I talked with my husband and we came up with a compromise. We agreed that we would resume visits, but not alone time, with them if they got their noses pierced. They said that we're being stupid and that they're not going to do that. I said no problem and hung up. We've started blocking anyone who tries to call us and give us shit for denying my parents their right to see my daughter.
When I was 15 years old, I broke my neck and I was paralyzed from the neck down. When the accident first happened, I would be sprinting in my brain as fast as I could, but my body wouldn't respond like it did before. 9 days after the accident, when they were transferring me in the ambulance from Henry Mayo to Northridge Hospital, I was able to start wiggling my little toe on my left foot. I would remain inpatient at Northridge Hospital for about 2 months. While I was at Northridge Hospital, I started becoming very, very sick, and I was puking all the time and I was unable to eat any food. So they did all of these tests and scans and I don't know what's, and they all told me that there was nothing wrong with me. So fast forward about 6 months or so, and I'm now gonna start the 11th grade. I'm 16 years old, 6 feet tall, and I'm 135 pounds. I've got a neck brace on. I've got these Forrest Gump leg braces that I'm trying to hide underneath my pants, and all these kids from the football team thought that it'd be funny to just, jump on my back. So I ultimately dropped out of that school and I left. I went somewhere else for a little bit, and when I got a little bit stronger, I would go back. I was battling this sickness for the remainder of high school, and on my high school graduation day that I busted my ass so hard to be able to walk in, I couldn't even go. I was so sick and I was screaming on the floor in pain, which is something I tried hiding from my family, but that day I just couldn't hide it. So my mom is, trying to convince me to go to the ER, and I'm like, I'm not going to go back. They've already told me so many times that there's nothing wrong with me. It's all in my head. I'm going to go waste 8 hours of our time sitting in the emergency room, and then they're just going to send me right back home. So she ended up calling my neurosurgeon, and he convinced me to go. So I go, and they do their tests that day. Come to find out, I have a penny-sized hole in my intestines, and I'm about to internally drown. They removed 3 feet of my intestines, and I ended up gaining about 30 pounds that year. At some point, I would get good enough to start getting into things like hiking and biking and running, and my physical therapy turned more into working out. And I was doing this bike ride one day, and I pulled something in my leg, and I really damaged my sciatic nerve. I must have went through at least a dozen doctors, and none of them could help me. And let's just call him Dr. Dipshit came up with a great idea to just put me on some medication that shouldn't even be legal. And this stuff made me extremely depressed for several years. And I stopped taking this medication, and it still took me about 3 years to get over it. Currently, I spend most of my time alone, and I'm too focused on myself to really care what other people are thinking about me.
I was punched in the head in New York City on Saturday, March 23rd, in Times Square. I was walking out of the Times Square station train station, and a random man came up and punched me in the head. Thankfully, I'm not as hurt as the girls that you've seen, the videos that you've seen. I'm a little bit sore, but thank God it wasn't worse than that. But it was definitely a traumatic experience, and it's something that is going to stick with me for the rest of my life now. But I can't believe that this is happening. I have a video of the guy because when I ran away from him, there were these 3 women on the street that helped me. Shout out to those moms from Connecticut. I don't know where you guys are, but I'm so grateful that you guys were there at the moment, because I don't think I could have done that alone. But I turned around at the moment and he was running after me, and he ended up just like walking down the avenue, and I ended up taking a video. I did file a police report, and there is an ongoing investigation right now. But you know, to the 3 or 4 girls that I've seen so far on TikTok that have reported similar incidents, I think that we should exchange our stories. It might be the same guy, but this is truly unacceptable, and it's something that we really need to figure out, because girls in New York City need to feel safe. Women in general just need to feel safe. I mean, we're always cautious about walking at night, but now we have to be cautious about walking in broad daylight. I mean, every single one of these stories happen in the middle of the day in broad daylight, and that's something that's really scary.
Get ready with me while I talk about why I dropped out of college. So basically, I was going to college in South Dakota last semester, and I committed there to play basketball. So this school is in the middle of literally nowhere, and I'm not even from like a big town, and like it was like too small for me. Like we had like a McDonald's and like a family Mexican restaurant. Like the closest Walmart was like 45 minutes away, like small. And like the whole key point was that I'm going there to play basketball. I was like, it's fine. But one thing about me is I don't like basketball. Like I loved it in high school because I was like obviously good there, and it was like fun. And when people say like sports in college and high school are different, believe them. Because literally college sports are like a job. Like you eat, sleep, breathe, fucking whatever sport you're playing. Like it is all you do. Also, another thing that should have been a telling sign was the fact that I only went there because it was going to be free. Like that, it was not for basketball, it's because I wanted to get a free education. Like, anyway, so you start practice like the day you move in. Like the second I moved in August, you start practice. And basketball season doesn't start till November. So like, and the team is still playing right now. Like they're playing right now. So, like, I would still be going. But, like, I just couldn't. The school is so small, and the people there were, like, weird because it was, like, a cyber school. And if you know me at all, that is just, like, not my cup of tea of people. And so, like, literally on the weekends, we'd have nothing to do because the town is so small. So I would go home every weekend, and literally, like, I would cry driving back. Like, from the get-go, I literally, like, hated going back to school. Like, I would cry the whole 6-hour drive. And I was going home, like, every weekend. And that's a 6-hour drive every weekend. Like, that's how much I did not want to stay in that town. And it was very apparent from the beginning that I did not want to be there. Like, I literally would tell everybody, I was like, I fucking hate it here. Like, I literally cannot wait to go home this weekend. Like, hated it. Like, practice, I literally would cry. Like, I did not want to go. I look terrifying. Also, another thing is, I wasn't playing. Like, I made varsity as a freshman, which was like, blah, 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 congrats, blah, blah, blah. But, like, I didn't play. And, like, some people are fine with, like, not playing and, like, just riding the bench. I'm not like that. So I was like, what's the point? I'm living 6 hours away from, like, all my friends. I don't even like half the people here. I'm not playing. I'm miserable. I was like, what the fuck is the point of me being here? So around this time, it was, like, almost Thanksgiving. We were having, like, our mid-season meetings, and I was, like, dreading my meeting. Because literally I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to say? Like, oh, I love it. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I cannot sit there and tell you I love this, and I don't. I can't do that. But also I was like, I don't want to just, like, trauma dump and just be like, I'm miserable and I want to die here. Like, I was like, I don't want to talk to them. Well, lucky for me, they did, like, literally all the talking. I sobbed, and they were like, do you even want to be here? And I was like, honestly, no. So at this point, I knew I was going to transfer, but I was just going to transfer at the end of the year and just, like, wait out the season or whatever. And then they were like, are you even going to be here for next semester? And I was like, oh, that's a great question. Actually, I forgot I could leave, like, right now if I wanted to. And since Thanksgiving was coming up and we were going home for a week, me and my coaches decided, I was like, I'm just gonna go home and, like, talk to my parents, and I'll, like, figure out my plans, whatever, and I will let you know when I come back. Within like 24 hours of being home, I was like, yeah, I fucked that place. Like, I don't want to go back. Like, no part of me wanted to go back. So I texted my coaches and I was like, I've talked to my parents. Like, I think we should set up a meeting for when I get back into town. And so we were supposed to come back for practice Sunday night. So I woke up Sunday morning and it was snowing and I was like, seems like an excuse. Like, seems like I don't need to come up. So literally I texted them. I was like, I can't. The snow is so bad. Because in my mind, I was like, why would I drive up on a Sunday to go to a practice that I'm not going to go to because I'm having my meeting before? So I'm going to quit. I'm not going to practice. I'm just going to sit there all night. I was like, why would I do that? So we postponed the meeting. At this point, I had posted on all my private stories that I was like moving out and like dropping out and coming home. And so everyone on the team knew. But like I hadn't had my meeting with the coaches yet. And so like they didn't know. I mean, like obviously like I think it was kind of apparent, but like whatever. So I've been meeting with them, basically told them, and they were like, yeah, like, we get it. Like, we think it's right for you too, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, so are you going to tell the girls? And I was like, sure. Like, they already know, but, like, whatever. It was so awkward because, like, they already knew I was leaving. So, like, I literally sat there. I was like, so, I'm leaving. And they were like, okay, whatever. And then I cleaned out my locker and I sat on my ass for 2 weeks. Also, I was, like, super close with all the freshmen. Like, literally talked to them all the time. Like, all the freshmen on varsity, or, like, sub-varsity at least. Because, like, we were, like, you know, like, together all the time. Literally, within a week of me moving home, they all took me off their private story, besides my roommate. They all took me off their private story, off their close friends on Instagram. Like, all left me unopened and stopped Snapchatting me. I was like, this was not a surprise. Like, you guys, like, I told you I was gonna, like, I was done. And also, I had to live there for, like, 2 weeks just for finals and stuff after I'd quit. And they were, like, night and day different. Like, did not invite me to anything. Like, did not talk to me. My roommate would, like, go, like, talk to them, whatever. That's fine. They would never come into our room. Like, it was, like, I was, like, gone, like, dead. And it was so weird. So, yep, that's the story of me dropping out. I am gonna go back to school, so I'm just... call myself a college taker-breaker. Anyways.
So, I got cheated on and went to jail last night. A lot has transpired and it's truly unbelievable. So we're gonna do a story time. I just dropped Silas at school. I am gonna need to hit the gym to get all of these emotions out. This is gonna be hard to talk about because I'm still feeling some type of way. I'm in a lot of anger and just dealing with all of these emotions that I'm feeling. I have stress breakouts from this. Like, this is serious. Anyways, let's get into it, I guess. So a lot of people didn't know this. I have been dating a pretty well-known guy. Yep. A funny guy. Let's just call him TV. Okay. And things were pretty serious. And like I said, nobody knew this. And I'm at this point, I'm not even sure that I even knew. So we're together. We take the kids to this indoor water park yesterday. And we're having a grand old time. And then all of a sudden, I see this girl that I know. And she's like, she pulls me aside and she's like, you know, the girl that like he's messing with is in this room. And I'm like, huh? Who? And so there was this girl that was having like some party at the water park, like an adult party. Like, first of all, grow up. Actually, that an adult party at a water park does sound fun. I'm not gonna lie. So she pulls her out. I'm like, okay, so like, let me talk to her or whatever. And she comes out and she's like, yeah, like, we've been messing around for a minute. And I'm like, I'm not the type of person to come after a female. And 9 times out of 10, it's usually the dude that's at fault. I'm not the type of person that's going to come at a girl for like a situation like this, because maybe she didn't know, whatever. And I'm like, did you know that like things are kind of serious and like my kids are involved and like all this? And she's like, yeah, and now let me say this. I am not a violent person anymore. I used to be back in my younger days. Oh my God. Sorry. I used to very much be so in my younger days. A girl liked to fight, okay? When she said yeah and the attitude that she said it with her whole chest, what started playing in my head was, we about to throw some balls. We about to swing some things. It's about to be a what? Girl fight? Mind you, he left. He left in this situation. He's gone with the wind. Nobody knew. Nobody knows where he went, okay? And all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I put hands on her. Let me say that. I put hands on her, and the police are dragging me away. Your girl got arrested, okay? And rightfully so. It's not right to put your hands on people, right? But so then I get processed. I see the judge. I'm like, I get out, and I have my phone on me, and like my business phone and my regular phone on me, and me and this man share locations, and we also have another girl, like a mutual friend of ours, staying at my house, right? They're all staying at my house. And so I look on my phone to like see his location, and he knows where I'm at this point. Somebody told him, you know, he knows like I'm locked up. Like he's not expecting me to be home at all that night. So I look at his location, and then I look at her location because I was about to call her, and then I see that like normally when I look at their locations, like they'll be in the same house, but like their phones are separate. They were right on top of each other. And so I had this like intuition. That was going on. And let me just tell you, this whole experience, the emotions that I was feeling were so crazy, like so crazy. So my ass gets out, and I Uber home because I'm like, something's going on. I open the door to my house. I hear groaning for real somebody. I'm feeling somebody, okay? And I open my bedroom door, and I see TV, Theo Vaughn, and this girl doing things that they are not supposed to be doing, okay? Doing things that they are not supposed to be doing. So I rip them out of the bed, and I start trying to lay hands on this girl now, and my fists are just not like, I'm trying to hit, and it's just like it's going like this, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Why are these working? You know? So I'm like so frustrated, and then all of a sudden I woke up. That was all, it was all a dream. Okay, but let me tell you, the trauma that I wrote, it felt so free. I've been taking melatonin, and it's been giving me some weird, like, so real these dreams are. Like, I lived a whole life in this dream. And in the dream, I remember thinking, like, Theo Vaughn, he would never do me like that. Like, he would never do me like that. Like, he is like a perfectly cooked burger at a block party that you like to enjoy. Like, sweet, that's the homie. I've never even talked to this man in my life. Why are you in my dream? And doing me dirty like that, betrayal, that is just vicious, absolutely vicious. So just, he would never, I'm like, that's the homie. He would never do me like that, but he did in my dream. He definitely did in my dream, and that was so rude. And I just woke up in a freaking, everything felt so real. It really did. So in conclusion, don't take melatonin, or maybe do, but like, I don't know what the hell it's doing to me. I don't think I'll be doing that again, because I've just been having some really, really traumatic, like, I wake up thinking like I lived this whole life. I'm so sorry that I had to do it like this, but I needed you guys to feel the emotion that I was feeling. I'm so sorry, because I'm still stressed out. Like, I dead ass woke up with breakouts. I was in shambles emotionally.
I, 30 male, am starting to resent my wife, 30 female, for not being my ex-affair partner. Background: I have been with my wife Erin for 7 years and married for 5, and we have a 2-year-old. 2 years ago, I fell in love with the greatest woman ever, Diamond. I never cheated on my wife before that, and I still say that I didn't. What we had was true love. Disclaimer: my wife is a kind soul, but we don't have that spark that we used to. I miss the spark, intensity, and the passion that we had in the beginning of our relationship. I filed for divorce to be with Diamond like we agreed, but for reasons unknown, my relationship with Diamond lasted 11 months. Afterwards, my wife and I got back together because the divorce wasn't official yet. Now, Erin is a great woman, but she's not Diamond. After getting back together with Erin, every little thing she does bothers me. The way she gets dressed to go to work, the way she makes my coffee, everything. Unfortunately, I began taking it out on her by starting arguments and being snappy. Erin is a great person and doesn't deserve that. Fallout. I realized that I needed to take a step back after what happened last night. My wife put the baby to sleep and said she was going to shower and head to bed early. She asked if I wanted a snack or something before I go to bed. I said no. She said she loves me and kissed me on the cheek. I didn't say anything, and she said, "Why don't you love me?" She said, "I'm doing everything I can, but you, I don't know." I just told her point blank, "You're not her." That hurt her a lot. She just went upstairs, and when I joined her an hour later, she was still crying. She cried all night in the master bathroom, and I couldn't sleep. She stopped and went to bed finally at 3:30. I feel so terrible, and I want to do my part to rebuild our passion. Please help any way you can.
Am I the asshole for telling my brother he cannot stay with me over Christmas if he brings his prosthetic leg? My younger brother has a prosthetic leg. I think it is creepy as fuck, and I have no idea where he got it. I'm reasonably certain that it is something I would rather not know. To be clear here, my brother has 2 perfectly healthy legs still attached to his body. He just has this thing he takes with him everywhere. I don't know why. I don't want to know. Before you ask, yeah, it is probably a mental health thing. He wanted to stay with me rather than our parents while he is home for the holidays. I said he was welcome to stay so long as he doesn't bring that thing to my house. He said it wasn't a big deal and that he would leave it in his luggage. I agreed on the condition that if I saw it outside of his luggage in my home, then I had the right to destroy it. He backtracked on staying with me and is at our parents' house, where he is miserable. They still treat him like a little boy instead of a guy who is almost 30. He called me again after supper and asked to please stay with me. I said he could, so long as we together took his thing and put it in a storage unit until he leaves. I get the key. He won't do it. He says that I'm being a bitch for not letting him stay with me. I think he needs to get therapy or medication or both, or a girlfriend, dog, cat, hamster, something, just not a goddamn prosthetic leg. Am I the asshole?
Am I wrong for refusing to speak to my wife and cutting all communication with her after she failed to disclose the fact that she had her tubes tied before we met and then tricked me into thinking that we were trying for a baby when that was obviously never going to happen? I, 34 male, have been married to my wife, 32 female, for a year and a half. We're both financially stable, and for the past few months, I've been proposing the idea of starting a family. My wife has expressed her lack of desire to ever have children before we got married, but I thought she would eventually change her mind and want to start a family. After suggesting the idea for months, she said that she would be willing to give it a try. We've been trying for a while with no results. At some point, I suggested seeing someone to figure out what was going on. My wife refused. The issue continued. A few days ago, I made the suggestion again that we should talk to a doctor. At this point, my wife broke down and told me that she had her tubes tied before we met because she's known that she never wanted to be a mother from a very early age. She said the process was long and difficult as nobody wanted to perform it until she found a doctor who was willing to perform the surgery when she was in her late 20s. She said that she felt awful and didn't know how to tell me when she knew that I've been excited to start a family. I'm honestly shocked and not sure how to process this information. I knew she wasn't too keen on having kids, but I don't get why she didn't tell me about something so major like being sterile earlier before we ever got married. I feel tricked and cheated, and if I knew earlier, I would have honestly had second thoughts about marriage because starting a family is something that I've always wanted and still do. The night she told me, I packed my things and have been staying at a friend's place and avoiding her calls and texts. Her sister called to let me know that it's unfair to leave her hanging and that I should talk to her to sort things out and that she's been worried sick about the future of the relationship. I replied saying that I thought it was unfair that this whole marriage was a lie and she didn't like that very much. Am I the asshole? I just want to take a break for a few months until I can wrap my head around this as I genuinely don't want to talk or interact with her anytime soon.
I just went on a first date and I got scammed out of $200. $200! Because honestly, I fucking deserved it. Because this is what happened. Earlier this week, I get a DM from a lady. Let's call her Bridget. Now, Bridget says, "Hey, you should meet my friend." Let's call her Jackie. She says, "Hey, you should meet my friend Jackie." I said, "Oh, really?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Tell me more about Jackie." Then Bridget says, Jackie's 27. She lives in the same county as yours truly. And she's working as a licensed therapist so that she will be the answer to all of my traumatic dating experiences. I'm like, sold! So Bridget sends me Jackie's Instagram and I take a look at her profile. She had a little over 430-ish followers. a little over 800 following, 6 posts. I'm like, okay, she's not too crazy active on social media. No problem. Bio said licensed therapist serving the and then area that her and I are from, and that's it. So I'm like, okay, maybe she's just getting started, or, you know, has a website of some sort that I could check out. I also noticed that her and I had a mutual friend in common, and I messaged the mutual friend. I'm like, hey, is this lady a catfish or a armadillo tiger? I need to know. Our mutual friend said, no, I love Jackie. She's super sweet. No red flags here, so shoot your shot, king. And I'm like, cool. So I DM Jackie saying, hey, lady, I hear that you are the answer to all of my traumatic dating experiences. Then Jackie responds saying, of course, Bridget's been sending me all of your videos, but I'm happy to help change your luck. Why don't you just shoot me an email? And she ended it with a smiley face. And I'm like, email? Who the fuck uses email? Who goes from DMs to email? But then I thought, you're playing hard to get, naughty girl. I sent Jackie an email saying, hey, lady, guess we're email official now. And then she responds saying, glad we finally made it here. What's your availability like this week? I'm like, oh, she's asking me for my availability. Very interesting. So I mentioned, let's do Friday night at 7. And then she responds saying, is there any chance you can do earlier than 7? And I said, I'll be done with work towards the end of the day and would kind of prefer to avoid any inconveniences by me rushing. But if another day works better for you, just let me know. She said, okay, no worries. I switched a few things around and I've just sent you a calendar invite. Lady, your commanding Riz is getting more unbearable by the minute. Jackie sends me a calendar invite and says, feel free to come over at 7 on Friday night. Come over. Now, I'm usually not the type to go over to somebody's house on a first date, but I also don't want to pigeonhole myself into sticking with my beliefs most of the time. And it was just spur of the moment because I also got stamp of approval from our mutual friend guaranteeing that I won't feel like Jackie will sedate me or try to spear my head with a javelin. So we're all set. I got ready, I got in the car and started heading over to Jackie's. As I'm about 15 minutes away from Jackie's house, I get an email notification that she's canceled the event of our date. Now, am I a little bit confused and wondering what the fuck is going on? Yes. Am I now starting to think that maybe she might sedate me or spear my head with a javelin? Possibly. But she added a note saying, so sorry to postpone, family emergency. If there's any chance you're around tomorrow, we can reschedule for then, and I'll make some time. I said, sure. What I could have said was, I'll let you know. No problem. Then I said, would it be easier to communicate over phone or via text? She said, honestly, email is the best form of communication. So I said, okay, no problem again. Fast forward to tonight, Saturday night. I made my way over to Jackie's place and thought I'd bring a wine bottle with me because I didn't want to show up empty-handed. And I also didn't want to show up with flowers, just given the dynamic of our conversations. I ring the doorbell, ding dong, and Jackie opens the door. She sees me holding the wine bottle, and she said, oh my gosh, I can't with you. And I said, hi, I'm Zakir. This is a gift for you, a bottle of wine. She said, thanks so much, nice to meet you. Come on in. As I'm coming into Jackie's space, she then asked me, oh, would you like a glass of water? And I said, no, I'm okay, I'm good, thank you. But would you like me to crack open this wine bottle for us? And she said, I'm good, thank you. But if you'd like to crack it open for yourself, feel free. I said, okay, haha, yeah, no problem. So I didn't open it, just to be polite. And then I sat down with her in her formal area of her place. Then she says, shall we get started? And from that moment, I knew this was not a fucking date. I asked her point blank. I said, hey, lady, are we doing a fucking session right now? She said, well, of course. That's why Bridget referred you to me and I blocked off an hour. You didn't think that this was a date, did you?
So like a fucking moron, I was like, no, of course not. I would never think that this was a date. That's why I came here, for therapy. Yeah, of course. But I told her straight up, I said, honestly, I think that there may have been a little bit of miscommunication or conversation that got lost in translation, because I just want to make sure we're on the same page. And then I stood up from the couch. Becky then had this hesitant face on and then said, "You're more than welcome to stay for the full hour, but if you choose to leave now, I'm going to have to charge you for the whole session." And I said, "How much is the session?" And she said, $200. I had to think about it for a second, but then I said, deal, but I'm cracking that bottle open. After about an hour of me ranting about my dating life and my trials and tribulations, I now have a therapist and a new friend. So, lesson learned.